Welcome to my new YouTube channel. This is my 1967 Chevy C10. Now, full disclosure, I've already built this truck over on Street Trucks YouTube. And if you want to check that out, I'll drop a card up here so you can go see the entire build series. But I really encourage you to hang out and watch these videos on my channel. I'm gonna go back and re-edit all those videos and be able to share more information with you that I couldn't in the first series because of time constraints. Now, I also want to talk to you guys about why I'm resharing this video series and starting my own channel. While I've been a content contributor with Street Trucks magazine for a few years, and while I have had a ton of fun traveling the country, going to different shows, working on different trucks, I can only work on trucks and I can only share truck content on that platform. And I love everything on wheels. I love motorcycles. I love classic cars. I love new cars. I love sports cars. So I want this channel to be everything automotive. And I really want this channel to bring a smile to your face and encourage you to work on your own projects or even do the maintenance on your daily driver. I love doing everything from basic maintenance to full builds, so that's what this channel is going to be all about. But I can't do it without your support. So if you would subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm really happy that you're here. If you could drop a comment below, like the video, it really helps the algorithm. And another thing, any videos that you see from me, if you drop a comment below, I try to engage with everybody. And I also learn a ton from the comment section because trust me, I'm no professional. I only do this stuff for fun. So anyway, let's hop right into the first build video of our 1967 Chevy C10. Randomly cruising on Marketplace, I came across a listing for this 67 Chevy C10. It's 503 light green and it's still wearing its original paint. It's very rare to find a truck that's in this good a shape with its original paint, and to find this one in my favorite color only an hour away from me was like a dream come true. So I absolutely had to buy this truck. We got it back to my place and I'm getting ready to do a walk around to show you the full condition of the truck, but I've already come up with a name for the project. This truck is dubbed Project Last Chance. I've tried to build other trucks from the bare frame up and have failed miserably, so this is the last chance that I'm giving myself to pull this off. Yeah, what do you think?
So big. Love it. Congrats. Are you happy?
Yeah, bro. Dude, this patina is so sick. I cannot wait to get this truck polished out and just see how that patina shines, man. The cab is rock solid. There are some rust in the usual spots, but we're focusing on the good right now, so we'll get to that in a minute. Overall, for how old this truck is, for the conditions that it was kept out in the field and kept on a farm ever since it was brand new. So I mean, it's actually a really, really solid cab. The frame is like laser straight, man. For whatever reason, there's some body damage where it looks like they, rolled over some stuff, but the actual frame itself is really straight. Now, those were like the selling points for me was, minimal rust, straight frame, phenomenal patina in this 503 light green color. Like, dude, it's like the perfect truck and the truck that I've been hunting for literally for years now. My wife was like, when I showed her this truck, she was like, go buy it because I know that I'm never going to hear the end of it if you don't have it. All right, let's talk about the bad. So this truck does have rust. It's got rust in the cowl, it's got rust in the rockers, it's got rust in the cab corners, it's got rust on the bottom of the doors, it's got rust, a massive rust hole in the bed. With all that being said, it's actually not that bad. The rockers and cab corners are pretty typical. The bed, you could just get a new bed floor. I might go with a wood bed kit, I don't know yet. All right, let's talk about the uglies. So there is some pretty significant body damage on this truck. Now, the metal on these trucks is super thick, so it's not like you just hire a PDR guy to come in and he'll just straighten it out with some hammers. This is going to take some significant force to be able to straighten these panels back out. It looks like they ran over a tree or something and just crunched this panel, but there's a spot on the passenger side door. The whole door is caved in. There's a light spot on the passenger side rear bed. The passenger side fender, which I don't have with me, does have a dent from where it looks like they might have sideswiped something because it looks like they just ripped the other mirror out of the door, and the whole side of the truck looks like it's got some pretty significant damage. So now that we know the condition and starting point of the truck, what's next? Well, I just want to make this a driver. I got an LS1 with 4L60E in storage that I've been itching to put into something, and this is the perfect truck for that. The truck came with a ton of parts that we could use. It came with shocks and springs, new spindles, a disc brake kit, wiring harness, brake lines, fuel lines, all kinds of goodies to help keep the process moving forward. But first things first, we're going to have to pull the cab and bed and prep the frame to go out to powder coat. I already got a jump start on getting this brace ready to pull the bed with a cherry picker. So I just got a through bolt, U-bolt kind of thing right here. And what we'll do is we'll put the cherry picker right there, pick it straight up. When we get to the cab, I'm going to do a 4x4 straight through here. And then we'll be able to put the cherry picker on the bottom of that, brace it up, and then be able to lift it and pull it right off. When I installed this setup here, I did not account for the extra weight of the tailgate. So I should have moved the 4x4 just a little bit further back to help balance out the bed. Drug this in the garage and put it on some jack stands. Now, I've never done this before, so it was definitely a learning experience for me, but it actually worked out really well. Was a little tricky getting the cab off and trying to move the cab around with the cherry picker, but I was able to drag this in the garage as well, and I put jack stands under where the cab mounts are, which was very stable, and I was able to pull the cherry picker out with no problem. Now moving on to the frame disassembly, this was that custom farmer-made rear bumper. I swear this thing weighed about 300 pounds. It was a little tricky getting off. In hindsight, I wish I would have hung on to this just for the added traction it would have provided. And here I am removing the axle bumper mounts. I'm going to be installing a C-notch in this truck, and these are going to be in the way, so I might as well take them off now. I'm going to be saving and reusing these trailing arms. They're a little rough, but they're definitely going to be good enough to get the job done. And I do have a new trailing arm crossmember that I'm going to install that has a flat bottom so we can get the truck a little bit further down without risk of hitting anything. Now listen to this, my son comes in here and wanted to show me something.
What happened? The skeleton dummies blow up.
Wow, yeah you do. Thanks, buddy.
Kids are pretty funny, man. He wanted to show me his glow-in-the-dark PJs. Moving on to the front, we're going to be reusing the upper and lower control arms. And this truck came with a CPP disc brake kit for all four wheels. We're going to be installing that as well. But we're just going to clean up these upper and lower control arms and send those off to the powder coater.
Got the whole frame stripped down, all the electrical, hoses, plumbing, everything stripped off. So now it's time to start knocking some rivets off and getting rid of a couple of these cross members and prepping our suspension for powder coat. Now I don't know if you guys have ever done rivets before on these frames, but they suck. So I highly recommend you getting an air hammer, and what you do is you basically just grind off the top of that rivet, grab your air hammer and just blow that rivet right through the hole.
Once I had ground and gotten rid of all the rivets on the top of the frame, had to flip it over and do the same thing on the bottom to all the cross members and parts that I wanted to remove. This is definitely not my favorite part of the job, but it is required, and I was very happy once it was done. Now I'm prepping the upper and lower control arms. Here I'm removing that lower control arm ball joint with the tool. Now these are the original upper ball joints. I can't believe that these things are still on the truck, but here it is. The entire frame and everything is prepped and ready to go.
Dude, we're finally ready to get this thing into powder coating. So I got the frame all loaded up. I got the suspension components and other frame pieces in the bed. So let's hop in the truck and get this sucker to powder coating. All right, guys, we just made it to BNJ Powder Coating out here in Orlando, Florida.
What's going on, guys?
Mikey, what's up, man?
How you doing, bud?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Tell us about your shop, about what you guys do, and what we're going to do with this frame over here.
Thank you, thank you. So this is my grandfather's shop. He started 15 years ago. I came right out of high school, started fresh with him. I kind of taken over now, and we're trying to do the best quality that we can. Our turnaround might not be the fastest, but you're gonna have grade A work. With the frame, what we're gonna do is get it sandblasted, and then once we get it back from blasting, we're gonna put a primer base coat on and a satin black top coat, and that's gonna last forever, for the life of the truck. So,
awesome.
Yep.
I'm excited, man. And we're gonna beat this one up too, so
Heck
we're
yeah,
gonna put that
test.
coating to the test, that's right.
We're kind of in the process, a lot of stuff's getting prepped right now. I have a roll bar that we did for an Audi, that's a track car.
You sent me a picture of Ferrari wheels that you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Like I have a set of 26s that are going to be stripped and go satin black now. Oh, those things are huge. We got some other stuff pre-baking for flat black today. And I'll probably wrap up our spraying for today. It's been a hot one. It's over 100 degrees here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that oven doesn't help at all, man.
No, 400 degrees all day long.
We're gonna get the frame off the truck, and I'm gonna help them get everything in. So let's get at it.
Perfect.
Mikey was nice enough to take some video of them getting ready to powder coat this frame. Here he's getting rid of all the media they used to sandblast the frame, and then they start throwing down the powder coat with some small pieces in the back. You'll see here in a second. So I appreciate them getting this video for me. It's a really, really cool process. And they did a killer job.
We got the call from Mikey. He just wrapped up the frame yesterday, so we're going to Orlando to pick it up. Here we are. I see it sitting right out front here. Let's check this sucker out. Frame's looking good. Mikey, thanks, bro. I definitely appreciate it, man.
No problem, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So,
and for everybody that's watching, dude, how do we get in touch with your shop, and how do we find you on social media?
You could email me or call me at our phone number. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok now, so
Nice.
Get with it and
Are you dancing
follow.
on TikTok?
No, definitely not. I'm just trying to show my work.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. BNJ Powder Coating.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. I
No
appreciate it,
problem.
man.
Thank
All right,
you.
I'll let you get back to it.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, dude. Mikey did a great job, man. That freaking frame looks so clean. I got my seatbelt on. How the hell did we get out of here?
One of the challenging parts about working on these big projects on your own is just moving the stuff around. You got to get a little creative. So I got all these dollies and all kinds of stuff to help me with stuff like this. And here's a closer look of that frame and suspension parts before final assembly. BNJ Powder Coating did a phenomenal job on this. Still waiting on some parts for the frame. We got the majority of everything in. I'm gonna be bringing that into the garage a little bit later. We're gonna reuse the old rear end. The original owner, or the owner I bought it from, told me that they resealed it. They said the rear end looked good, and they filled it up with some royal purple rear end gear oil. So what we're gonna do today is take off the pumpkin cover, see what we're working with, and see if it's usable. If it is, we're just gonna scuff it, paint it,
and then throw it under the frame. Man, that looks clean. It's always a bonus when the guy you buy your truck from or your project from isn't full of shit. Everything he said was true that I've checked out. And even this, man, when he told me he resealed it and they put new gear oil in, I 100% believed him. This is all brand new gear oil. It looks really good in here. Hardly worn at all. I think we're gonna roll with it.
To prep the rear axle for paint, I hit it with a wire wheel to get rid of the major rust, and then I sprayed it down with a heavy-duty degreaser. Now I let this soak and scrubbed it in, and then hit it with a pressure washer to get rid of any major contaminants. Once the rear axle was dry, I did a final wipe down with a paint prep spray you can also get from Eastwood, and then laid down our base coat of rust encapsulator. Now you can spray this directly over rust, and this is going to be perfect for this rear axle. Once the rust encapsulator was fully dried, I applied the 2K Aerospray paint from Eastwood. Now this is a two-part paint which mixes in the can when you're ready to use. And this is going to be an extremely durable paint. This is their chassis black paint, so it's meant to go on any suspension components or any components underneath the vehicle. Applying a top coat or clear coat is optional, but I think this will be plenty of protection for this rear axle. While the rear axle paint is drying, I jumped over and started to do the frame reassembly. Now this is a first for me. I've never worked on a freshly powder coated frame where you're not getting dirt, grease, rust all over you. So it was definitely a nice experience and a nice change to work on something that was so clean.
Torquing these down to 50 foot-pounds.
I'm still hungry, Dad. I'm still hungry.
Sometimes these kids act like we never feed them. I can't tell you how many snacks they just had. But anyway, jumping over to reassembling the upper and lower control arms, we got new ball joints here, new crossbars, and this all went together very smoothly. My wife was out and about when I was working on the truck today, and this was the first time my son actually showed an interest in the project. So he actually helped me throw on these U-bolts, which I couldn't do by myself, so I was very happy that he was there to help me, and it was a really, really cool experience.
My finger.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't see when I do it.
You gotta put your face down.
I couldn't.
Good job. There you go. Good job, bud.
My head's spinning.
I'm really hoping my boys are interested in working on cars when they get older. I started working on cars and wrenching on cars when I was a kid, and I think that would be really cool to share with them, especially if they get into the classics. I would be super happy if they got into that. At this point in the project, we were getting a new driveway. You could see all the dirt out there, which the timing actually worked out really well because I didn't have to move anything around, and I was pretty much just focusing on getting this frame put back together.
This frame, so this is a 1967 C10. This is right where the power steering unit mounts. So there is supposed to be a dent right here from the factory. From 68 on, there's a dent right there. 67 and previous and earlier models do not have that dent. So basically when you go to mount your power steering box, let's see if I can do this one-handed. It hits the frame because there's not enough clearance on the frame for the power steering unit. So if you don't have the dent on your frame, you could actually buy a mounting bracket set for a 63 to 66 C10 that will allow you to mount the power steering unit to the power steering gearbox to the frame. So here's that unit right here. Got this from Summit Racing. Comes with your mounting brackets. You're not going to use this one. This one mounts on the inside of the frame. The 63 to 66 frame is a little bit different. So what I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to use this. This will mount up right here. I'll probably end up cutting this extra metal off, but we're just going to get it mocked up for now. One other thing you have to do, which I've already done here, you have to clearance your radiator support mount. So you just cut off some material right here. I hate that I had to cut on the new powder coat, the fresh powder coat, but I still got to install the C-notch back there, so who cares?
I don't think GM had power steering on these trucks prior to 1967, which would explain why there's no dent in this frame. The manual gearbox that came off the truck is about half the size, and putting on this power steering gearbox by yourself is a little tricky. You just want to be careful not to drop this on your toes. Then we can move on to installing our pitman arm and our idle arm and the rest of our steering components. Once all the steering components are on, you can torque everything down to factory specifications, and then we can move on to installing our rotors. I ended up having to purchase new spindles. These are CPP's modular drop spindles. The spindles that were on the truck were new, but they were not drop spindles, so I would not have achieved the drop that I wanted. And now we're just putting back on the tires, and we're gonna move to the rear suspension of the truck. First thing I did was install the trailing arms for the rear suspension. Now with this trailing arm cross member, you can select the angle of the trailing arms, and I went with the second from the bottom. Now that hole is what I found in my research that should do the trick, but then we're able to put on our drop blocks with U-bolts to hold on our rear axle and move on to the C-notch. All right, we got some holes right here that go into some old rivet holes right here. So what we'll do is we'll just mark about where that hole's at, and then you got some holes up at the front, and we'll mark this hole right here. You will have to drill a couple holes, but that'll at least give us a benchmark on where these are at. We're about right here. So that's about what our line's gonna look like.
Got everything cut and drilled out for the C-notches. I gotta say that was kind of a pain in the butt, and I really hated to cut the frame after we sent it to powder coat. The C-notches were on back order. That just seems to be the theme of this build, is everything's on back order, so you gotta wait for everything to come in, and I just didn't want to wait for the C-notches to come in to wait for it to go to powder coat, so I was just like, whatever, man. Send it to powder coat. We'll just cut it and paint it. So that's exactly what I did. So we're ready to throw them back in, but I want to show you guys what we got going on right now. If you guys are throwing in a C-notch, just take your time. You don't want to cut out more than what you need to. I took my time, trimmed everything out, made sure it fit nice and snug, And right now, we're just gonna get ready to throw them back in and keep moving forward.
The C10 frame and suspension is assembled and ready for me to start bolting on our brand new parts.
Well, guys and gals, what did you think of that first build video for Project Last Chance? Also, would you have powder coated your frame or painted it? Drop a comment below. I'm curious to hear what you would have done. But that's gonna do it for me on this video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.